Hey guys, today in Art Club with Miss Burford, we'll be making spooky moonlight tree silhouettes. You will need a sheet of white paper, a pencil, charcoal, white chalk, black ink, and a medium-sized paintbrush, not too small and not too large. To start with, we're just going to draft where we're going to put the moon. So you can do it in the right hand side, the left hand side, or in the middle of the page, and it's up to you what size you want your moon to be. You can do it larger than mine or smaller. Then using your charcoal stick, draw around the circle that you've just drafted with the pencil to make it more prominent, and we're going to work outwards. So this is going to be your line that you start from, and then we're going to create a nice dark sky. Using your stick of charcoal, you're going to go around the moon and keep drawing outwards, so you're drawing in a circular motion, and you're going to keep building up that dark colour. You want to press quite hard to get the darkness from the charcoal, but not so hard that it's going to snap. If you look at how I'm using the charcoal, I'm using it a little bit like a pencil, so I've got that fine end. I don't want to use the side of it just yet because I want the colour to be quite intense. You can see that I continue to do that circular shape around the moon, and then I start to spread it out again in the same shape, so I'm spreading outwards away from that white circle. Build up some more layers of charcoal over the part that you've just smudged, and keep going in that circular motion around the moon, but keep coming away from the moon towards the other side of the paper, and as you get further away from the moon, you're going to leave white gaps in between that charcoal. Those white gaps can get larger as you get further away. We do this so that we can build up a gradual transition between the dark and the light. This is called a gradient. Smudge everything in that circular motion coming out towards the edge of the paper like you did earlier on, and your colour should be dark to light from the moon. For the bottom third of the paper, I used the charcoal stick on its side so that I could distribute the colour more evenly, and it was a lighter shade of the charcoal. We don't want it to be so dark down this side of the paper. And then again, smudge it all out and blend it into the rings that you've just created, so it looks like it's a nice gradual transition between the colours as best as you can. Next, we're going to go back to using the pencil just to work out where we're going to draw our tree. So I did a nice thick trunk going from the left hand corner of my page up towards the moon, getting thinner as we head towards the moon, because you want it to look like it's a tall tree, so as it's getting further away it's getting thinner. If you've drawn your moon on the left hand side, you'll want to do your tree trunk starting from the right hand corner. If your moon is in the centre of the page, then you can draw it either side of the paper. So from your tree trunk you want to start adding some branches, so you can draw these out towards the edge of the paper and they get thinner as they get towards the edge. Don't forget to add smaller branches off your thicker ones. Really make use of the space on your paper. Fill it with tree branches. You'll have lots of little branches coming off the main ones. You want this to be a prominent feature of the picture. The next step requires you to go around your outline of your tree using your India ink and a paintbrush. So just dip your paintbrush into the ink, go around the outline, being really careful to get that detail of the branches, and then you're going to fill in the middle section of your tree trunk so you get a nice thick dark colour. The India ink creates a great contrast between itself and the charcoal because the ink is so much darker and denser than the charcoal. However, please be careful with Indian ink. It is so easy to spill and it is a nightmare to clean up. It is waterproof once it is dry, which is why this lesson is aimed at 9 to 11-year-olds. I wouldn't do it with anyone younger. Leave the ink to dry before moving on to the next step. Now moving on to using the white chalk, we can add the highlights. You'll want to think where your highlights are going to be. So your moon is high up in the sky, so it's going to highlight the top of your branches. and my moon is on the right hand side, so it's going to highlight the right hand side of my tree. If your moon is on the left hand side, it's going to highlight the left hand side of your tree. If your tree is in the middle, it might highlight both bits at the top and a little bit on one side more than the other. A way to demonstrate where the light will be coming from is to turn off the classroom lights, get a torch and find some objects, shine the torch from where the angle of your moon is and see what is highlighted. For the tree trunk, I added the highlights down the right hand side. As I previously said, the light is coming from the right for me, but to add some texture to the tree trunk, I drew a few lines and also smudged each one as I drew them, so we have a bit of texture on the tree rather than it just being a plain solid black silhouette. I still kept to the right hand side whilst I did this. I only did about 2 or 3 lines. You don't want to cover the whole trunk, and I only did it on the bottom part. I forgot to mention earlier, with your white chalk lines on your branches and on your tree trunk, apart from the bottom part that I have just added a bit of texture on, don't smudge your chalk. You want it to be as white as possible to really contrast and pop against that black silhouette. Finish your picture by signing your name in the opposite corner to your tree trunk, and then you're finished. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more art lessons like this every Monday and other art related content every now and then. See you next week for more art with Miss Burford.